So we just read about the different data types that we're going to be using in this course in Excel. Remember that we're going to be using labels or text as one data type, values or numbers as another data type, and we're also going to be taking advantage of Excel's ability to do calculations for us, and we do that using formulas or equations. And a great way to understand these different data types is to use a real-world example and something that we'll be working on, which is what I have shown here in this chart. One of our first projects is going to be working with local weather data for wherever you happen to live. This is data for where I happen to live in North Carolina in the United States, and we're going to be making plots of how the weather changes throughout the year. And so we can look at this chart and we can see those changes, but what we should focus on right now is we should focus on the different kinds of data that are included in making a chart like this. And here we can easily see two kinds. First of all, we're looking across all the months of the year, and we know that words, months, are going to be a kind of text or label data. And so we have to have the ability to handle text data like that so that we can properly label our months. Clearly, we also have numerical values because we have numbers representing the temperature in each month. And so that's our value data or our numerical data that we're working with. We also have other kinds of label or text data where we need to be able to label which temperature we're talking about. Maybe it's the mean daily high temperature or the mean daily low temperature. So this different kind of label or text data is something that we'll be working with as well. And so now we're going to see how we input and handle this kind of data in an Excel spreadsheet so that we can make a chart like this in the future. So here we are in Excel, so we can see how these different data types work when we're inputting data into Excel so that ultimately we can analyze data and produce plots like the chart that I just showed you. You'll see immediately that I've already entered in some text data or label data, and these are labels for our data. We know that we're going to be working with months, and of course that's a label itself, and we know that we're going to be working with the mean daily high temperature and the mean daily low temperature. And so these are called column headers, which is a form of text data or label data. Frequently for column headers, I like to bold everything, and so I'll just hit Control B to bold, or we can also click on the B icon to bold those text as well. And so that can bold and unbold just like that. This is one piece of information about setting up spreadsheets, but soon we'll have a separate topic that goes into a little more detail about the general principles we should use when we're setting up spreadsheets. Something else you'll notice, and this happens a lot when we're entering label or text data, is we can't fit all of that label into a single cell. There's overlap there, it gets cut off. We can adjust that in Excel very easily. If we hover over between the two columns that we're interested in adjusting, we can drag and change that width. Or the easy thing that I like to do is we can double click and it will auto correct. It'll auto fit that column width for the text. So I just did that for a mean daily high temperature in column B, and we'll do it for a mean daily low temperature in column C as well. So now we have our labels all set. And we'll just do a quick example here. We know that one of our months, our first month, is going to be January. And if I recall correctly, the mean daily high temperature for January in my part of the world is about 51 degrees Fahrenheit. The mean daily low is about 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So here we are with our first observation, and we have two different data types in here. We have a label or text for the month, and we have values or numbers for our high and low daily mean temperatures. You can see immediately that Excel tells us we're dealing with different information because we have numbers justified or aligned on the right and text justified or aligned on the left. This is useful information that we're going to be using later so that we can know how Excel is interpreting the data that we're putting in. So we have two of our three data types here. Let's do a quick example so we can look at our third data type, which is a formula or an equation. So I'm just going to create a new column here, and I'm going to call it difference. And what this will be is we're calculating the difference between the mean daily high temperature and the mean daily low temperature. We could do this by hand, we can do it in our heads probably, but the whole point of this course is getting to the point where we can get Excel to do this work for us. So we're going to use an equation or a formula. Whenever we're asking Excel to do a calculation for us, we're going to tell Excel that by starting our data with an equal sign. Now this is not going to be text data, it's not going to be a value, it's going to be an equation or a formula. And what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of cell referencing, and we're going to say, Excel, we want to take the value 51 and subtract 30 from it. And so you can see our cell references right in here, and you can see that Excel is color coding to tell us that it's going to subtract 30 in red from 51 in blue. Up in our equation bar or our formula bar, we have a version of that equation as well. And if we hit enter, we'll get the result. And so we have a data type in our formula bar of an equation or a formula, but it is producing numerical data for us. So a few things we've seen in this video is we've seen already that we're using our cell referencing information so that we can start to build equations like we have here. And we've seen the power of the three different kinds of data types where we can put these all together to keep our data organized, do calculations on it, and get it ready for plotting. So this was just a very simple example to make sure that we're ready to start working with data in Excel, which is what we're going to be doing very soon.